So today, I want to share a really powerful story with you. It's about a boy named David and some, well, timeless wisdom he gets from his father. It seems like a simple little tale, but trust me, it holds some huge truths about finding your own way to, well, to get really good at something.
And really, it all boils down to this one big question. What's the actual secret to mastering something? Is it just about having raw talent, or is it about outworking everyone else? You know, the answer might be a little simpler and a lot more interesting than you think. And it's all found in this story of a boy, his friend, and, yeah, a soccer ball.
All right, so let's meet our guys. First up, we've got David. He's a sixth grader who pretty much lives and breathes soccer. He's got energy, he's got skill. On the field, he's a star. Then you have his good friend, Matt. And Matt, he's the total opposite. He's a genuine whiz at math, but you put a soccer ball at his feet and, well, let's just say it's not his thing.
And right there, that's where our problem starts. One afternoon, David comes home and he is just crushed. He got a bad grade in math. But it wasn't just the grade that was bugging him. It was that constant comparison. It felt like no matter how much effort he put in, he could never touch Matt's scores, and it just left him feeling totally frustrated.
So David's dad sees how bummed out his son is, and he steps in. But instead of just giving him a lecture, he does something different. He takes David out to their quiet backyard garden and offers him a series of challenges. He tells him each one is designed to teach him a really important lesson about life. And this, right here, is where the real journey kicks off. All right, so the first lesson. It all starts with a super simple idea, figuring out where you naturally shine. His father calls this finding our unique strengths, and believe me, it's the foundation for everything else that's about to happen. The challenge his dad gives him is, well, it's pretty straightforward. He tells David to go do the thing he does best, play soccer. But he gives him two little rules. One, you have to invite Matt to play, and two, you need to really pay attention to what happens during the game. And as you can probably guess, what happened on the field was the complete opposite of what happens in the classroom. David was just on fire. He was totally in his element, scoring 3 goals, leading his team to a huge win. Meanwhile, Matt, he had a tough time. He wasn't used to the game, kept losing the ball. The difference between them was crystal clear. And this is where his father drops the first big piece of wisdom. Look, just because Matt isn't a great soccer player, that doesn't make his gift for math any less incredible. And just because David struggles with his math homework, that doesn't mean he isn't a genius on the soccer field. The lesson is simple, but it's huge. We're all different. We all have our own strengths, and the real trick is to see them and own them. Okay, so recognizing your strengths, that's step one, huge. But his dad's next lesson digs a little deeper. It tackles the question of how those strengths actually turn into real mastery. And that brings us to lesson number 2, joyful practice. So for the next challenge, it's less about doing and more about watching. David's dad tells him to just observe Matt closely when they're at school and to keep a running count of every single time he sees his friend messing with numbers in any way. And what David finds is pretty amazing. It's not like Matt is just sitting there doing his homework all day. No. He's constantly playing with numbers. He's solving puzzles for fun. He's figuring out the exact change for a snack during recess. He's even doing little things like counting the petals on a flower. For Matt, math isn't some boring chore. It's just how he sees the world. And that's when the second big lesson clicks into place. Matt is good at math because he genuinely enjoys it. And because he enjoys it, he's practicing it all the time, probably without even thinking about it. See, mastery isn't just about forcing yourself to practice. It's about finding so much joy in something that the practice just happens. Kind of like how David is always out kicking a soccer ball around. And that brings us to the final lesson. And honestly, this might be the most profound one of all. It's all about the connection between what we love and the kind of effort we're willing to put in. For this last challenge, his dad asks him, okay, just how much better is Matt at math? And David thinks about it and says, I don't know, maybe 3 times better? So his dad says, all right, then that's your challenge. Tomorrow, I want you to study math 3 times harder than you normally do. So David, he's determined. He sits down, gets to work. He pushes through his usual hour of studying, and then he grits his teeth and keeps going, aiming for 2 more. But that kind of forced, intense focus, it starts to take a toll. His head starts pounding, and before he can even finish, he's completely exhausted and just falls asleep right there at his desk. And here's the big takeaway from that whole experience. Trying to just brute force your way through something you don't really enjoy, it just doesn't work. It makes discipline feel like this heavy, exhausting weight. But when you're working on something you're truly passionate about, Like David is with soccer, that same discipline feels light. It almost feels effortless. Passion, it turns out, is the ultimate fuel for discipline.
And when you take all three of those lessons and put them together, you get this really beautiful idea that his father calls the rhythm of mastery. It's that sweet spot, that magical point where your natural strength, your joyful practice, and your deep passion all line up perfectly. When that happens, discipline stops being a chore and just becomes part of the rhythm. And his dad's final bit of advice just ties this all up perfectly. He says, look, if you want to become a real expert at something, you've got two paths. You can either focus on what you already love, or you can find a way to learn to love the thing you need to study. Either way, both roads can get you to the same place.
So that leaves us, and you, with a really important question to think about. Take a look at your own life, your work, your hobbies. Where's that intersection for you? Where do your natural strengths line up with the things that truly bring you joy? Because finding that spot, well, that might just be the secret to everything.